Welcome back to this crucial deep dive. This is actually part 5 of our big exploration into the AI boom. And today, we're tackling what feels like the core dilemma, really. Is this whole AI cycle mostly a speculative bubble, fleeting, or is it a real foundational tech revolution? Or maybe is it somehow both happening at the same time? Our goal here is to, well, cut through some of the noise, give you a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed. We really need to try and separate the speculative frenzy, all that FOMO and hype, the crazy valuations, from the real technological shift that is actually changing how work gets done.
Yeah, and to do that, we probably need to start with definitions, right? Because people often mix these terms up. So a bubble, that's just a period of, let's say, speculative frenzy. Prices shoot way, way up, far beyond any real value. It's driven by hype, by euphoria, and then it collapses. Think Pets.com back in the dot-com days, valued over $300 million, then completely bust in, less than 2 years? It's like the poster child for that fleeting, overvalued story.
Okay, pure hype and collapse, and the paradigm shift. That's the opposite.
Exactly. That's the fundamental, the lasting change. In technology, in society, it survives the short-term ups and downs.
Yeah.
The internet itself, right? That's the classic example. A total transformation changed everything. Didn't matter who went bankrupt in 2000, the internet was here to stay.
Makes sense.
But here's what's really fascinating, the crucial historical insight. History shows the bubble and the paradigm shift are often, tangled up together. In fact, the speculative frenzy often becomes the engine for the revolution.
How so?
Think about the dot-com boom again. All that irrational money. It funded laying millions of miles of fiber optic cable. Now, the companies doing the laying, many vanished in the crash.
Right.
But the physical infrastructure, it was still there. That leftover unused capacity, they called it dark fiber. That became the super cheap, abundant foundation for the broadband, the streaming, the cloud computing we all rely on now. The bubble funded the future, basically.
Yeah. Okay, that's a powerful idea. The bubble is fuel. Let's unpack this then. Section 1. Making the case for a bubble right now. We've got some pretty compelling financial warning signs. Things that suggest the market is pricing AI like one source put it, a miracle, not just a tool.
Yeah, that phrase really nails the disconnect, I think. Look at the extreme valuations. OpenAI is the obvious example. Recently valued at an astonishing $500 billion.
$500 billion.
Right. Even though they reportedly expect maybe only about $1 billion in revenue. And they're still losing money operationally. That valuation is literally hundreds of times its actual sales. That just doesn't fit traditional investment logic.
Okay, the historical parallels to past manias, like .com or even railroad mania, seem clear. But is there any argument that maybe these high valuations are justified this time, given how fast they capture the market, maybe the defensibility of the core tech? Or is it really just belief in future miracles?
It seems like it's mostly the latter, the belief in miracles, because the investment gap kind of confirms the speculation. Investors have poured something like $560 billion into AI initiatives just recently. Huge number.
Wow, $560 billion.
But these massive investments, they've only generated about $35 billion in new incremental revenue. That huge gap capital flowing in, tangible value coming out. That's a classic sign of speculative excess. And add to that, AI startups apparently grabbed, 71% of all global venture capital in Q1 2025? That's extreme concentration of capital.
And we're seeing all those classic market behaviors too, aren't we? Just like companies slapped .com on their names in the late 90s.
Now it's AI washing. Exactly.
Companies adding AI power to, pretty much everything, often with minimal real AI capability under the hood, just trying to boost their stock price or attract that VC funding.
It becomes about the story, the narrative, not the substance. And this feeds right into the problem of circular financing. We're seeing these deals that just reinforce each other, keeping the money flowing within the system. One source described a chain of deals that was basically NVIDIA pays OpenAI, which pays Oracle, which pays NVIDIA.
So the money just goes round and round, creating this kind of internal bubble, totally disconnected from actual customers spending money.
Pretty much. It's like the market generating its own revenue instead of validation from real end users buying and using the product at scale.
Which highlights the core issue, right? The investment flows in, fine. But is money flowing out from actual customers?
That's the billion-dollar question, or maybe trillion-dollar question here, monetization.
Because for all the excitement, all the buzz, the millions, maybe hundreds of millions using these tools, the data shows a real challenge. Only about 2% to 3% of all AI users, and specifically thinking about ChatGPT's massive user base, reportedly over 800 million people. Only 2–3% are actually paying.
Right, that conversion rate is, well, it's low. And it raises serious questions about the long-term business model, especially if you need to justify those massive valuations.
Okay, so the hype has definitely outrun the revenue. Fair enough.
But that reality check is exactly why we need Section 2. We need to talk about the case for a revolution. We have to shift focus away from just the investor side, the market froth, and look at the tangible micro-level evidence. Proof that AI is delivering real, measurable value right now. Even if the big economy-wide productivity numbers haven't caught up yet, the so-called AI productivity paradox.
Right, so where are we seeing these specific verified productivity gains? The proof points that this isn't just smoke and mirrors.
Okay, look at customer service. That's a great example. AI assistants boosted agent productivity by 14% on average. Solid number. But here's the really interesting part. The biggest improvements were among the newer, less experienced workers.
Ah, okay. So it's not just making experts faster, it's actually leveling up the beginners.
Yeah, exactly. It positions AI as this powerful on-the-job training tool, a performance leveler for the whole workforce almost, making novices perform more like veterans.
That's significant. And we're seeing similar things in, say, software engineering too, right?
Definitely. Developers using AI coding assistants like GitHub Copilot, that's the well-known one, they're completing tasks up to 55% faster. That frees them up to tackle the harder, more creative problems instead of getting bogged down in, routine code or debugging.
So it's boosting white-collar productivity. What about the physical world? Manufacturing.
Huge impacts there, too. Siemens, the industrial giant, reported really stunning results. A 69% jump in productivity in their AI-enhanced factories. And get this, a 42% cut in energy consumption. These aren't small tweaks. These are concrete, bottom-line improvements showing AI delivering real economic value in manufacturing.
Okay, those are compelling numbers from major players. But what about making this tech accessible? Ensuring the revolution survives, even if the big proprietary players stumble. Thinking about open source here.
Absolutely crucial point. The data shows nearly two-thirds, 66% of the foundational AI models released in 2023 were open source.
Wow, that high.
Yeah, and this competition is vital. Take the DeepSeek R1 model, for example. It's open source. It reportedly matched the performance of proprietary systems, but was trained at something like 95% lower cost.
95% cheaper.
That's the report. This kind of thing directly chips away at the pricing power of the closed, expensive systems. It vastly expands the market, makes powerful AI accessible to way more people and companies. It helps turn AI from a sort of rarefied service into more of a commodity toolkit.
Okay, that makes sense. It democratizes it. So
Yeah.
this brings us back to the synthesis, right? If we kind of accept that AI is both a bubble and a revolution,
Right.
what happens if, or maybe when, that market correction hits? It's not if the music stops, but what's left on the dance floor.
Exactly. And that gets us to the legacy question, what stays versus what fades. I think we should see a potential correction not as some kind of disaster, but more like a necessary, maybe even healthy reset. It separates the hype from the real innovation, and the sheer scale of the infrastructure being built right now guarantees there will be a legacy.
What kind of scale are we talking?
Big tech is spending between $300 billion and $500 billion annually on AI infrastructure. Just to put that in perspective, spending on data centers in the U.S. has now actually overtaken spending on traditional office buildings.
That's a massive shift in capital allocation. Huge. But does this new infrastructure have the same kind of staying power as that dark fiber from the dot-com era? Is it as durable?
That's the critical difference. And changes the whole spending model. Those fiber optic cables, they last for decades. Durable stuff. Modern AI data centers, especially the GPUs, the specialized chips, they face rapid obsolescence. We're talking typical lifespans of maybe only 3 to 5 years.
Only 3 to 5 years. So you have to keep replacing them.
Constantly. It demands continuous, really costly reinvestment just to keep up. Some call it the Red Queen's race. You have to run as fast as you can just to stay in the same place competitively. It's a very different spending dynamic compared to past infrastructure booms.
Okay, so it's less durable, needs constant feeding. But even with that churn, doesn't that massive initial spending still leave behind what some sources called hidden gifts?
It absolutely does. Even if the current valuation bubble pops spectacularly, the core infrastructure that's been built won't just disappear. The physical data centers, the clusters of GPUs, the newly beefed up power grids, they'll still be there. We might actually inherit what we could call dark power.
Dark power, like dark fiber, but for electricity.
Kind of. Think about it. all of this huge investment going into new power grids, new renewable energy sources, specifically to feed AI's massive appetite. Now, what if AI demand suddenly drops or doesn't grow as fast as predicted after a correction? We could be left with a surplus of cheap, abundant electricity that could dramatically benefit other energy-hungry industries.
Dark power. I like that. That's fascinating.
Oh.
So the collapse of the AI stock bubble could, kind of ironically, end up being a huge boost for other industrial sectors. That's, yeah, an unexpected twist.
It's a potential side effect of speculative excess, yeah. And the talent sticks around, too. Think about the generation of AI engineers, researchers, data scientists being trained right now during this boom. When things shake out, their expertise will spread across the entire economy. They'll seed AI literacy everywhere, just like software developers did after the dot-com bust.
Okay, so infrastructure and talent remain. What vanishes in this correction scenario?
Well, obviously excessive valuations, for one. The Me Too apps,
Right.
the low-effort clones, the gimmicks, like maybe apps just generating cartoon avatars or things built purely for PR, and probably some of the more unrealistic narratives around artificial general intelligence happening tomorrow.
And what stays? What endures?
The proven tools. The ones genuinely improving productivity in measurable ways. The foundational AI models themselves will remain and continue to evolve, especially the open source ones. And crucially, you'd see an industry forced to pivot towards real profitability, efficiency, sustainable business models, less hype, more substance.
Right. A focus on value.
So the core conclusion, I think, is that this AI boom looks like a short-term speculative mirage, definitely. But it's overlaid on top of a genuine long-term technological revolution. The infrastructure being built, the skills being developed right now, they will almost certainly outlive this current hype cycle. Just like fiber optics outlived pets.com, the foundation is being laid, and the tech is already proving its fundamental value, at least at that micro task-specific level.
Okay, so that leads us to maybe the final provocative thought for you, our listener, to chew on. The ultimate question isn't really if AI is real or valuable. It clearly is in many ways. The real question is whether the industry can successfully navigate this transition. Can it move from the current phase, this high burn rate, rapid obsolescence infrastructure race, this Red Queen's race, to a truly sustainable, profitable, maybe even utility-like model? And can it do that before the next inevitable market correction arrives and clears out all the speculative excess? That tension, that race against time and market sentiment, is probably what will define the next few years of this whole transformation. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Remember, this was the 5th part of our series looking at the path towards transformative change here on the Before AGI podcast. And hey, if you want tutorials, more insights on how this field is developing, practical stuff, make sure to check out Ian Ochieng AI on YouTube. That's Ian, Ochieng AI. We will see you for the next deep dive.